Mrs. Cynthia lived in a small red brick house at the end of a quiet street on the outskirts of the city. She was a lady with silver hair and kind eyes, always with a ready smile for everyone who crossed her path. Known and adored by her neighbors, Mrs. Cynthia was a central figure in the community, always willing to help with advice or a cup of hot tea. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Her constant companion was Rex, a German shepherd with a shiny coat and attentive gaze. Rex was not just a guard dog, he was family to Mrs. Cynthia. At every step she took, Rex was by her side, both watchful and a friend, always alert for any sign of danger. The two had a special bond built on a history that few knew. Rex had been adopted by Mrs. Cynthia a few years ago. Found in an animal shelter, he was thin and scared, but something in his eyes touched the old lady's heart. She knew that this dog had a strong spirit and that with love and care, he could flourish. Since then, Rex has shown unwavering loyalty, protecting his owner from small dangers and bringing joy to her life. Mrs. Cynthia's routine was simple. Every morning she tended to her garden, chatted with neighbors, and took long walks with Rex around the neighborhood. During these walks, Rex always stayed vigilant, sniffing the air and observing the surroundings, ready to intervene if there was any threat. On that day, the sun shone brightly, and the air was laden with suffocating heat. Mrs. Cynthia had gone out to shop at the local market, taking Rex with her. As they walked back home carrying bags full of fresh vegetables and warm bread, she didn't notice that she was being watched. It was a peaceful afternoon, and Mrs. Cynthia felt content as she approached her front door. Suddenly, 3 young men appeared from behind a parked car, their expressions a mixture of malice and intent. They moved quickly, surrounding Mrs. Cynthia and blocking her path. One of them snatched her purse, while another grabbed her arm, causing her to cry out in fear and pain. Rex, sensing the immediate danger, sprang into action without hesitation. The German shepherd leaped towards the attackers with a fierce growl, his teeth bared and eyes blazing with protective fury. The sight of the usually gentle dog turned ferocious was enough to give the delinquents pause, but Rex didn't stop there. He lunged at the one holding Mrs. Cynthia, sinking his teeth into the assailant's arm and forcing him to release her. The second attacker tried to kick Rex, but the dog was too quick, dodging the blow and knocking the man to the ground with a powerful shove. The third attacker, realizing the situation was rapidly turning against them, began to back away, his face pale with fear. Rex stood his ground, a low growl rumbling from his throat as he kept his eyes fixed on the retreating figure. The 2 fallen attackers scrambled to their feet, nursing their injuries and casting fearful glances at the formidable dog. With a final bark, Rex drove them away, ensuring they wouldn't dare come back. Neighbors, drawn by the commotion, rushed to Mrs. Cynthia's aid. They found her shaken but unharmed, clutching Rex's leash with trembling hands. The dog, sensing his job was done, returned to her side, his demeanor once again calm and gentle. The police were called, and descriptions of the attackers were given, but it was Rex who became the hero of the day. Word of the incident spread quickly through the community, and Rex was celebrated as a local hero. Mrs. Cynthia, though still shaken by the experience, felt a renewed sense of gratitude and love for her loyal companion. The bond between them, already strong, had been forged in the fires of danger and tested by the events of that fateful afternoon. In the days that followed, Mrs. Cynthia and Rex continued their walks, their bond unbroken and their trust in each other even stronger. The community rallied around them, offering support and praise for the brave German shepherd who had done something that shocked everyone, proving that even in the quietest of neighborhoods, heroes could be found in the most unexpected forms. 2 men, infamous in the neighborhood as the incredible bandits due to the audacity and frequency of their crimes, were eyeing her from a distance. They had heard rumors about the old lady who lived alone with her dog, assuming she would be an easy target. Confident in their plan for a quick robbery, they discreetly followed Mrs. Cynthia as she made her way back to her house, patiently waiting for the opportune moment to strike. Upon arriving home, Mrs. Cynthia placed her grocery bags on the kitchen counter and began the routine task of putting away her groceries. Her loyal dog, Rex, was, as usual, right by her side, but today something seemed to be bothering him. He sniffed the air with heightened alertness, his ears twitching nervously. Suddenly, a faint, muffled sound from outside caught his attention. He growled softly, moving to the front door and positioning himself protectively in front of it. Mrs. Cynthia, noticing Rex's unusual behavior and growing uneasiness, walked over to the window to check. Before she could fully process what was happening, the front door was violently kicked open, and two masked men burst into the house, shoving her roughly to the ground. The shock of the sudden intrusion was so overwhelming that she barely had time to scream. The bandits immediately began ransacking the house, searching for anything of value. They laughed and exchanged taunts as they went through her belongings, while Mrs. Cynthia, still on the floor, tried to gather her senses and regain her composure. But Rex was not about to let them have their way. With a fierce growl, he lunged at the intruders, barking ferociously and baring his teeth. One of the bandits, caught off guard by the dog's aggressive reaction, tried to kick him away, but Rex was too agile. He dodged the blow and sank his teeth into the man's arm, causing him to scream in pain and curse as he struggled to free himself. The other bandit, seeing the situation escalating, pulled a knife from his pocket and advanced menacingly toward Rex. Mrs. Cynthia, still on the floor, watched the unfolding scene with a racing heart. She knew Rex would fight valiantly to protect her, but the fear for her faithful companion's safety was overwhelming. She tried to get up, but her knees were weak, and the pain in her hip made movement difficult. Rex's barks echoed through the small house as he bravely lunged at the second intruder. The knife-wielding man slashed wildly, but Rex was too quick and nimble. He darted to the side, avoiding the blade, and clamped his powerful jaws onto the man's leg. The man screamed in agony, stumbling backward and dropping the knife. Mrs. Cynthia, still struggling on the floor, managed to pull herself up just enough to lean against the wall. Her heart pounded with a mix of fear, desperation, and a glimmer of hope as she watched her courageous dog fight to protect her. "Rex, be careful, Mrs." Cynthia shouted urgently, her voice trembling with fear and concern. But Rex was in a state of heightened alert, entirely focused on his role as protector. His senses were fully engaged. And he was resolutely determined to drive these unwelcome intruders away from his beloved owner. The first man, still nursing the sting of a recent bite on his arm, seized a heavy vase from a nearby table in a frantic attempt to retaliate. With a fierce throw, he hurled the vase at Rex. The object flew through the air, narrowly missing its target by mere inches before crashing into the wall and shattering into countless pieces. Rex, undeterred, released his grip on the second man's leg and let out a deep, menacing growl. His fur stood on end, bristling with a fierce, protective energy. He swiftly repositioned himself between Mrs. Cynthia and the two intruders, his body language making it clear that he was ready to face whatever threats might come next. The men, now visibly shaken and desperate, exchanged anxious glances. "We need to get out of here," one of them muttered with urgency, his voice tinged with panic. However, before they could even think of a plan, Rex lunged once more, snapping at their heels with fierce determination. The sight of the enraged dog drove the men into a frenzied retreat. They bolted towards the door, stumbling over each other in their desperate rush to escape the scene. With the intruders fleeing, Rex turned his attention back to Mrs. Cynthia. She had managed to regain her footing and was now standing, her face streaked with tears. In a heartfelt gesture of gratitude and relief, she wrapped her arms around Rex's neck, her sobs mingling with her whispered words. "Thank you, Rex. You saved me." Her voice was choked with emotion, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment. Rex responded with a gentle lick to her hand, his way of offering reassurance and comfort. As the adrenaline of the confrontation began to ebb away, Cynthia sank into her favorite armchair, her body weary, but her spirit calmed by Rex's unwavering presence. The room lay in disarray, a testament to the chaos that had unfolded, but she felt a profound sense of safety, thanks to the bravery of her loyal companion. As she stroked Rex's head, her mind wandered back through the years, reliving the memories of how Rex had entered her life and all the countless times he had stood guard over her, always ready to protect and comfort her. Years ago, after the profound loss of her husband, Cynthia experienced an overwhelming void in her life, one that seemed insurmountable and impossible to fill. The loneliness and grief felt all-encompassing, leaving her with a deep sense of emptiness. Observing her mother's struggle, her daughter became increasingly concerned about her well-being and suggested that she might find solace and companionship in adopting a dog. At first, Cynthia was hesitant and unsure about this suggestion. The idea of welcoming a new life into her home felt daunting, but after much consideration and encouragement from her daughter, she decided to visit the local animal shelter. Upon arriving at the shelter, Cynthia was introduced to a variety of dogs, each with their own stories and personalities. Among them was Rex, a dog who stood out distinctly from the rest. Unlike the more energetic and outgoing dogs, Rex was quiet and reserved, with a demeanor that seemed to carry a profound depth of sadness. His eyes, filled with an almost tangible sorrow, seemed to resonate with Cynthia on a deep level. The shelter worker shared Rex's backstory. He had been discovered wandering the streets, malnourished, frightened, and in desperate need of care. This tragic history, combined with Rex's quiet and gentle nature, touched Cynthia's heart profoundly. She felt an undeniable pull towards him, as if their destinies were intertwined, and knew without a doubt that she had to take him home. From the moment Rex crossed the threshold of Cynthia's home, there was a palpable shift in the atmosphere. His presence brought a sense of comfort and security that had been missing from her life. Rex became her constant companion, always by her side and vigilant in his watch over her. His protective instincts were evident. He would chase away stray cats that ventured too close to their home and bark at any suspicious noises during the night. Each act of vigilance served as a testament to his dedication and further strengthened the bond between them. One particular incident highlighted the depth of their connection. A few months after Rex's adoption, Cynthia had an accident in the garden, falling and finding herself unable to get up. In a moment of vulnerability, she called out for help, and within moments, Rex was there by her side. His reaction was immediate and intense. He barked furiously, his concern and urgency palpable. His loud, persistent barking eventually drew the attention of a nearby neighbor who came to her aid. It was in this moment of crisis that Cynthia fully realized the depth of Rex's understanding and care. His response to her distress demonstrated a profound empathy and a deep bond that had formed between them, one that transcended the barriers of species and was rooted in mutual trust and affection. Now, as Cynthia gazed into Rex's loyal eyes, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and reassurance. The bond they shared had been tested and strengthened in ways she had never imagined. Adopting Rex, once a simple act of kindness, had turned into one of the most significant decisions of her life. He was no longer just a pet. He was her guardian, her steadfast friend, and her hero. His bravery and unwavering loyalty had been vividly demonstrated that day, reminding her of the profound connection they had built. The night had settled into an uneasy quiet. The world outside seemed to have gone still, as if holding its breath in the aftermath of the day's chaos. Mrs. Cynthia and Rex sat together in the dimly lit living room, seeking solace in each other's presence. The warmth of Rex beside her was a comforting contrast to the unsettling events they had faced. She began to drift off, lulled by the steady rise and fall of his breathing, when a sudden noise shattered the fragile peace. Startled, Mrs. Cynthia's eyes flew open, and she immediately noticed Rex's heightened state of alert. The dog had risen silently from his spot, his body tense and his ears pricked in the direction of the sound. Through the thin curtains, Mrs. Cynthia caught glimpses of movement outside. Shadows shifted and danced around the side of the house, and her heart pounded with a growing sense of dread. She recognized the silhouettes of the two men from earlier. Their presence confirmed her worst fears. They had returned, more determined than ever to finish what they had started. The realization sent a chill down Mrs. Cynthia's spine. She knew she had to act quickly. Rex, ever the vigilant protector, positioned himself between her and the looming threat. His eyes were sharp and focused, his muscles coiled and ready for action. The bond between them, already tested by the day's earlier confrontation, was now a source of immense strength and reassurance. As Mrs. Cynthia tried to steady her breathing, she drew comfort from the steadfast presence of her loyal companion. With a whispered prayer for safety and a firm resolve to stay calm, Mrs. Cynthia prepared to face the threat alongside Rex. The tranquility of the night had been shattered, but together they would confront whatever danger lay ahead. Rex's unwavering bravery and her determination were all that stood between them and the men who sought to bring more harm. At that moment, Mrs. Cynthia knew that their bond was more than just a connection of pet and owner. It was a partnership forged in trust, courage, and an unbreakable sense of mutual protection. "Rex, we need to be ready, Mrs. Cynthia whispered urgently, her voice trembling but filled with determination. Rex responded with a low, menacing growl, his body tense and poised for action. The front door rattled as the intruders tried once more to force their way inside. With swift, practiced movements, Mrs. Cynthia grabbed the phone, her hands shaking slightly as she dialed the police. She spoke in hushed tones, her words coming out in rapid bursts of urgency. "Please hurry," she urged before hanging up. Her gaze then shifted back to Rex, who remained a steadfast sentinel by her side. The door finally gave way with a thunderous crash, and the two men burst into the house, their faces contorted with rage and frustration. "Where's that damn dog?" one of them roared, brandishing a heavy metal pipe. Unprepared for Rex's fierce defense, the intruders were taken aback. Rex sprang into action with an intensity that stunned them. He charged directly at the man with the pipe, expertly dodging the wild, clumsy swings. With a fierce bite, Rex clamped down on the man's arm, causing him to scream in agony. The man dropped the pipe, desperately trying to shake Rex off, but the dog's grip remained unyielding. The second man, now clearly panicked and desperate, retreated, fumbling with something in his pocket. Before he could draw any weapon or regain his composure, Rex released his hold on the first attacker and launched himself at the second man. With a powerful shove, Rex sent the man crashing to the floor. In the chaos, the man's hand slipped from his pocket, and a small knife tumbled out, clattering across the floor. The room filled with the sounds of the men's frantic movements and Rex's aggressive barks as Mrs. Cynthia watched with a mix of fear and hope, praying for the arrival of the police to bring an end to the terrifying ordeal. Mrs. Cynthia, witnessing the chaotic scene unfold before her eyes, felt a tumultuous blend of pride and fear surge within her. "Hang on, Rex," she whispered urgently, her heart racing as she silently prayed for the police to arrive before it was too late. Rex, driven by an unwavering sense of duty, pressed on with his relentless assault, his powerful presence forcing the intruders to retreat further towards the door. Just as it seemed that Rex had the upper hand in this desperate struggle, the piercing wail of sirens cut through the tension. the sound of approaching police vehicles triggered a palpable shift in the intruder's demeanor. Realizing their time was running out, they scrambled to their feet in a frantic bid to escape. Rex, his determination unyielding, chased them to the threshold, pursuing them into the night until they vanished into the darkness. Moments later, the scene was illuminated by the flashing lights of the police cars, casting an eerie glow over the disarrayed room. Officers burst into the house with guns drawn, their presence commanding immediate authority. Despite the dramatic entrance, the immediate danger had already dissipated. Rex stood steadfast at the doorway, panting heavily but showing no signs of injury, his sharp eyes still fixed intently on the path the intruders had taken. Mrs. Cynthia, her body trembling with a mix of residual fear and overwhelming relief, sank back into her armchair. Her gaze remained firmly on Rex, whose heroic actions had saved her from harm. An officer approached her, methodically taking her statement while offering assurances that every effort would be made to apprehend the men who had caused such terror. Meanwhile, other officers began combing the area for any traces of the intruders. With the immediate threat now neutralized, Mrs. Cynthia knelt beside Rex, her emotions spilling over as she wrapped her arms around him in a tight embrace. "You were amazing, Rex," she whispered, her voice choked with tears of gratitude. Rex responded with a gentle lick to her cheek, a reassuring gesture that communicated his steadfast loyalty and commitment to her safety. In the days that followed, the whirlwind of activity continued. The police maintained their investigation, diligently seeking any leads on the intruders, while neighbors and friends came by to offer their support and check on Mrs. Cynthia's well-being. The story of Rex's bravery quickly spread throughout the community, and he soon became celebrated as a local hero. Visitors would stop by to see him, bringing treats and offering praise for his courage. Mrs. Cynthia, though still grappling with the aftermath of the ordeal, felt a profound sense of pride each time someone admired Rex. She knew deep down that without his unwavering bravery, the outcome could have been far more dire. Rex's actions on that fateful day had done more than simply ensure Mrs. Cynthia's safety. They had also fostered a sense of community spirit and togetherness. His urgent response to her distress had served as a poignant reminder to everyone of the vital importance of caring for one another and watching out for their neighbors. This incident, marked by Rex's bravery and loyalty, resonated deeply within the community, reinforcing bonds and encouraging a supportive environment. As the weeks passed, life gradually began to find its rhythm again. Mrs. Cynthia resumed her daily routines with a renewed sense of normalcy and comfort, always accompanied by Rex's steadfast presence. Their daily walks became a cherished ritual, a time to explore the world together and engage with the friendly faces of their neighbors. They embraced the simple joys of life, from the tranquility of their neighborhood to the warmth of their shared moments. With Rex by her side, Mrs. Cynthia experienced a newfound appreciation for the deep connection they had forged and the unparalleled sense of security his companionship provided. One serene evening, as they sat together on their porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Mrs. Cynthia took a moment to reflect on the journey they had embarked upon together. The golden hues of the sunset painted the sky, and the peaceful ambience of their surroundings created a perfect backdrop for introspection. She realized that Rex had not only been a source of physical protection, but had also rekindled a sense of purpose and joy in her life that she had thought lost forever. As she gently stroked Rex's fur, feeling the reassuring warmth and unconditional love he exuded, Mrs. Cynthia spoke with heartfelt gratitude. "Thank you, Rex," she murmured. "You truly are my guardian angel." These words were more than just an expression of thanks. They were a testament to the profound impact Rex had made on her life. In their small red brick house at the end of the quiet street, Mrs. Cynthia and Rex continued their days with a deep sense of gratitude for the extraordinary bond they shared. They faced each day with the confidence that whatever challenges might come their way, they would confront them together, united in their shared strength and unwavering companionship. The courage and comfort they provided each other had become the foundation of their lives, reinforcing the belief that together they could overcome anything. Thank you for joining us in this heartfelt journey of bravery, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between Mrs. Cynthia and her loyal companion Rex. Their story reminds us of the incredible courage found in unexpected places and the profound impact that love and trust can have on our lives. What have you learned from this story? Share one thing that stood out to you and how you plan to bring it into practice in your own life. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world to us.